down here at Holcomb Garden Center. Got Tim Holcomb joining us here. We're talking about having your own orchard in the backyard. And right now is a great time to start thinking about some of our fruit trees and plants that produce some of our fruit.
We want to plant things that you can enjoy the fruits of your labor, literally eat them, and also create memories for kids and grandkids, and a link to the earth and planting. And fruit trees and home orchards is the best way to do that.
I think we'll start off small here. Got a little bit of strawberries, and right now is a good time to plant some strawberries.
Absolutely. You can plant them now and have fruit this spring. People think, well, I don't have room for orchards or shrubs with big plants, but with strawberries, you can do it in a container on the patio or porch. And there's June-bearing strawberries and ever-bearing strawberries. And the June-bearing has one large crop. If you want to plant a bunch of them, gather them all up, freeze them, or use them, that's the way to go. If you want some fresh strawberries just throughout the summer, you want the ever-bearing strawberries. They'll continually produce all summer long.
We'll go from small to large here, so we're going to move on to blueberries. I was so happy to have a blueberry bush at my house, and they produce so much fruit. And kids love them, but now's a good time to put one of these in the ground.
This is the best time to plant them. And blueberries considered a superfood. I mean, they're very good for you. They're very easy to grow. There's hardly any insects or diseases bother them. They just produce and get bigger each year, more every year. One will produce fruit by itself, but you will get more fruit if you have at least two varieties. They cross-pollinate and do very well that way. And there are varieties of blueberries that only get 2 to 3 foot tall, and others will get 6 to 8 foot tall, but they all do well.
Moving right along, we got some blackberries.
But there's a lot of blackberries that have been bred for higher sugar content. They taste better.
There's always that competition between, the ones that you can grow and then the wild, and the wild was always sweet.
Some of the first thornless blackberries had large, beautiful berries, but they were so sour you couldn't hardly eat them. Now some of those are quite sweet as well. But you want to grow blackberries, and each year they'll have their fruit. You cut those canes off and let the new canes grow up for next year. So any canes you have that had fruit last year, go ahead and cut those off. Fertilize them, and the canes that grew last year will come up and have berries this year.
Southern favorite, muscadimes.
Muscadimes, scuppernong's, the wild grapes, thick skin, but they're just tough as nails. Most diseases don't bother them. They're easy to eat. You just chew on the skins or spit out the seed, but they're very fun and very easy to grow.
An American classic, an apple tree, but this is sort of a unique apple tree.
Well, the thing we get about apples, people need a pollinator. You have to have one pollinator to cross-pollinate the other apples. And if you don't have room for several apple trees, this is 3 apple trees in one.
That's amazing.
So you have a pollinator, and you can plant it. You're assured to have at least 3 varieties of apples that get well pollinated. And you can add other apple trees as well. And you know that you've got a pollinator already ready to go.
And of course, we've got a peach tree right next to it as well, already beginning to bloom.
Yeah, these peach trees have beautiful blooms in the spring. And we actually have a patio peach. It only gets 3 or 4 foot tall, has medium-sized peaches, but just is gorgeous for flowers. This is a standard-sized peach, and you can get the free stone or the clinging stone, either one, but they both grow well here and produce well here.
Now, as you mentioned, you can plant any time during the year. Lots of times we advocate doing it during the fall so the roots can build, but even during the spring is a good time as long as you...
Well, as long as you water.
Right.
Your best selection is in the spring. That's when most are available. And if you'll keep it watered, you can plant 4th of July. It really doesn't matter. You just want to get it going, to get the roots going. But you'll have fruit this first year on most all these things. The key thing to planting on trees and shrubs is don't plant them too deep. Plant them slightly higher than ground level so the roots can grow out. If you plant too deep and cover it up, you can actually kill a plant.
In addition to water, all plants love a little extra food and a little extra care, and we've got a couple of products right here.
And it makes a big difference. If you have just food and water, you can exist, but if you want to thrive and really produce, you need a well-balanced food. And the fruit tree food is designed to feed all the different fruits to get more blooms, get more fruit. It also has zinc in it, so if you have pecan trees, and you can plant pecan trees now, they have to have zinc to produce pecans. Otherwise, you just have shells and nothing there. But the fruit tree food, you apply it in the spring, do it again in the fall, and it will keep the trees growing and keep them blooming and producing the best.
And of course, we've got a little bit of spray here as well. And
Unfortunately, occasionally you get bugs and or diseases on some things. The best thing to do is a routine spraying. Once the blooms fall off, never spray when they're in bloom. That's when the bees are working and pollinating them.
Okay.
Once the blooms fall off and the bees are done, they set little fruit, begin spraying about every 2 weeks up till close to harvest. You won't have any worms, any insects, or things like that.
All right, Tim, appreciate it as always. Some great information, and we look forward to heading down to the Fort Oglethorpe store next time, talking all about miniature gardening. Hi, folks. It is the Holcomb Garden Center. They've got 2 locations, one on Highway 153 in Hixson, where we're at today. The phone number 877-8782, or down on Battlefield Parkway in Fort Oglethorpe. The phone number there is 706-861-4769. You can always go to the website, which is holcombgc.com.